So, les quiero presentar a Danielle Thompson. Ella es la presidenta de la Asociación Internacional de Dislexia de Oregon y también es maestra en la escuela preparatoria en Forest Grove. También a Larissa, perdón, Larissa, no tengo tu apellido. A Larissa se interesó en la dislexia cuando su hijo de 5º grado fue diagnosticado en 2017. Ella es asistente médica y trabaja en una clínica de salud escolar en Forest Grove. So, are Danielle and Larissa ready?
One second.
Okay. Tenemos aquí 2 manitos alzados. We have 2 hands up. 3. So, tengo otra vez Marta Domínguez. Oh, Daniel's ready. Recuerden, si tienen preguntas, si lo ponen en el Q&A o si tienen comentarios en el chat. Voy a ponerlo con Danielle, ya que podemos empezar, porque ya estamos atrasados un poco. So, welcome, Danielle.
Well, thank you for having me. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I wanted to briefly just say that on behalf of the International Dyslexia Association, it's our honor to present to you today and also to learn along with you today. We at IDA Oregon are striving to create a bright future for all individuals with dyslexia and related reading and learning differences. Our hope is that we build a bright future for them so that they can lead more rich and robust lives and have access to the tools and the resources that they need. In short, our goal is to provide high quality information and support to parents, students, adults, providers, educators, all around the area of dyslexia. And that information and support can lead to empowerment and transformation in each of us. So we would like to share some of the resources that we've developed, and I've got a video to show you that explains it best. And then after the video, I'd like to have you hear from my colleague, Larissa.
Hi there, my name is Larissa, and today I'm excited to tell you about a very special project that our board has been hard. We at the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch have vowed to work until in Oregon, that means meeting the needs of an increasingly diverse population. More than 1 in 10 Oregonians speak a language other than English at home, with the vast majority of those Oregonians speaking Spanish. While the International Dyslexia Association has some great information written in Spanish, I realized in my work as a physician assistant at a local community health center that this information was not easily accessible to people in my community. Many of my patients' families had not had the educational opportunities that would allow them to connect with a text-heavy document. And for my patients whose primary language is a dialect, a Spanish handout like this can feel pretty intimidating. We also know that dyslexia often runs in families, so expecting a parent who may also be dyslexic to read through a lot of handouts didn't seem like the most sensitive approach. We had to come up with something better. Information about dyslexia needs to be accessible to all people. So in January of 2021, we applied for a $10,000 grant from the Richard B. Siegel Foundation, and happily they saw our vision. Over the next 11 months, we worked with an amazing team of graphic designers, animators, voice actors, and a board of community advisors to create 6 animations and 10 handouts. We were careful to use wording that could easily be understood by low literacy readers. In our handouts, we also used infographics to help relay important information. And for our animations, we relied on storytelling to engage and educate our audience. It has been almost a whole year in the making, and we are so excited to share these new one-of-a-kind resources with you. If you are a parent, these materials are going to help you be able to talk with your child about dyslexia and learn how you can both work together to help support your child in school. If you are a teacher or school counselor, these materials are going to be great for handing out to students and parents, and also other teachers and school counselors to help spread the word about dyslexia. If you are a medical provider or a reading specialist or a school psychologist, these materials are going to be wonderful in helping explain to your patients and clients why they're having a hard time reading, writing, and spelling. Most importantly, our kids with dyslexia are going to know that they are not alone. All of these resources are free, and we hope that you will find them useful in making meaningful change as we work together to make sure that everyone in all communities across Oregon and around our world can read. Are you as excited as I am? Come on, let me show you what we've got. First is, what is dyslexia? Here readers are introduced to dyslexia and learn that it often presents with difficulty reading, spelling, and writing. We offer 10 basic facts about dyslexia, including people with dyslexia often have strengths in other areas, and dyslexia is not a barrier to achieving a person's dreams. And we end with 5 things parents can do, like talking to their child's school about accommodations and telling their child that they are not alone. Next is how to talk to your child about dyslexia. We give parents 3 talking points. Number 1, tell their child that they are not alone. Number 2, tell their child that they will work with their school and teacher to make sure they are able to learn in a way that works best for them. And number 3, remind their child of the things that they are good at and tell them that dyslexia is not a barrier to achieving their dreams. We encourage parents to make sure their child understands that reading therapy, accommodations, and assistive technology can help them. And we end with the importance of celebrating our differences, like letting kids shine in their own special skills and reminding them that we all have different strengths and weaknesses, which make us better together. Third, we have how to talk to your school about dyslexia. We encourage parents to work together with their school and teacher to make sure their child receives the right kind of accommodations and support. We encourage parents to empower their child to speak up about what is working in the classroom and where they could use more support. We let parents know that students with learning differences are entitled to accommodations under ADA and IDEA, and that schools may use the term specific learning disability or reading disability instead of dyslexia. Finally, we offer advice about how to seek an evaluation through the school if they think their child has dyslexia but has not yet been diagnosed. As with all of our infographics, links to our Oregon IDA webpage are included so parents can find additional resources such as local support and reading specialists. Our 4th handout is Accommodations for Students with Dyslexia. Here we present the most common types of accommodations that are used for students with dyslexia. Parents and students can circle 3 to 4 accommodations that they think will be most helpful for them, then take this handout to their 504 plan or IEP meeting. We encourage parents to meet at least yearly with their educational team to discuss their students' strengths, which accommodations are working well, and where their student could use more support. And finally, we have what to do if you think your child has dyslexia. Here we provide a simple algorithm for parents to follow if they think their child might have dyslexia. And now for our animations, which I am so excited about. We believe that these may be the first of their kind in that they use accessible language, are available in English and Spanish, and reflect the culture and diversity of our underserved communities. They range from 3.5 minutes to 7 minutes, and they follow our handouts with the What is Dyslexia?, how to talk to your child about dyslexia, and how to talk to your school about dyslexia themes. Today we will preview the first animation, What is Dyslexia? We hope that you enjoy it.
Hola, señor López, ¿cómo está? Oh, hola Carmen. Bueno, acabo de recibir la boleta de calificaciones de Carlos y para ser honesto estoy un poco preocupado. Tiene problemas en la escuela. Sé que se esfuerza mucho, pero no parece aprender bien. El maestro dice que está atrasado en la lectura y tiene muchos problemas para escribir.
Parecería que Carlos podría tener dislexia.
¿Qué? ¿Dislexia qué?
Dislexia. La dislexia dificulta la lectura, la escritura y la ortografía. Es muy común. Casi 1 de cada 5 personas tiene dislexia y es la dificultad de aprendizaje más común en la escuela. De hecho, mi hermana Ana tiene dislexia.
No lo sé. Supongo que necesito ser más estricto con él y hacer que practique más su lectura. Tal vez debería quitarle sus videojuegos.
Espera un momento, señor López. Poner límites en el tiempo que los niños pasan frente a una pantalla es importante y saludable, pero los videojuegos no causan dislexia. La dislexia es una diferencia en la forma en que el cerebro ve y escucha el lenguaje. Por ejemplo, una persona cualquiera puede ver las letras G-A-T-O y comprender qué significa gato, pero una persona con dislexia tiene problemas para reconocer las palabras. Cuando ven las letras G-A-T-O, es posible que necesiten detenerse y averiguar qué palabra forman esas letras, incluso si han visto la palabra gato muchas veces antes. Esto hace que la lectura sea más lenta y más difícil. También es más difícil para las personas con dislexia recordar el sonido que produce cada letra, y eso dificulta la escritura y la ortografía.
¿De verdad? No lo sabía. Nunca antes lo había escuchado. ¿Cómo se contrae la dislexia?
Nadie sabe a ciencia cierta qué causa la dislexia, pero a menudo es hereditaria, como color de ojos, la altura o el ser diestro o zurdo. La dislexia se presenta en todo el mundo y en todos los idiomas, pero a menudo se nota más cuando alguien está aprendiendo inglés, porque el inglés es un idioma muy difícil de leer, escribir y deletrear para las personas con dislexia. Es diferente para cada persona. Una persona con dislexia puede tener solo un problema ligero para leer, escribir y deletrear, mientras que otra puede problemas severos para hacer esas cosas.
Bueno, Carlos definitivamente tiene problemas para leer y deletrear. ¿Significa eso que le pasa algo?
No, en absoluto. Las personas con dislexia a menudo tienen fortalezas en otras áreas, como la creatividad, la solución de problemas, el diseño y la construcción de cosas, o ser excelentes empresarios. Muchos grandes inventores, científicos, artistas e ingenieros tienen dislexia, pero la dislexia puede dificultar las cosas en la escuela, especialmente si su hijo no sabe que tiene dislexia. Los niños con dislexia pueden comenzar a desanimarse y a preocuparse por quedarse atrás. Es posible que les digan que deben practicar más la lectura y esforzarse más, pero no es así como se trata la dislexia.
¿De verdad? ¿Y cómo se trata la dislexia? ¿Carlos necesitará medicamentos?
No, la dislexia no se trata con medicamentos. Es una diferencia de aprendizaje que dura toda la vida. Pero la terapia de lectura puede ayudar a las personas con dislexia a aprender a leer, escribir y deletrear mejor. Si a Carlos le diagnostican dislexia, debe comenzar terapia de lectura lo antes posible. La escuela también puede hacer un plan para ayudar a su hijo a aprender de la mejor manera para él, como escuchar libros para obtener la información en lugar de tener que leerlos. Pero su papel como padre es lo más importante. Dígale a Carlos que no está solo. Explíquele que hay una razón. Hola, señor López. ¿Cómo está?
Oh, hola Carmen. Bueno, acabo de recibir la boleta.
At the end.
I'm sorry, I don't know why that skipped and then started over. My apologies for that. As some people are communicating in the chat, you do have access to see that recording in Spanish as well as the videos in English on the website that's housing all of these resources for this summit today, as well as on the International Dyslexia Association's website. The video concludes with some advice for Carlos's father and where to find more information, and a thank you to the Richard B. Siegel Foundation who helped funded this project, as well as to our community of advisors who helped us with the content and the look of this project. I'd like to introduce now my colleague, Larissa Whalen Garfias, who is a big thinker behind all of this.
Hola, buenos días. Gracias por la oportunidad de presentar esta mañana. This project has been a really special project for our team in helping recognize the need in our community to talk about dyslexia and have the resources to help families understand what dyslexia is and how to access resources for their kids in the schools. And we just went live with these resources yesterday, so these are brand new. So we hope that you can enjoy them and use them and get the word out. As Danielle mentioned, you can find them on our website, on our YouTube channel, and that's the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch, as well as links on the Latino Literacy Summit information provided by Decoding Dyslexia. So thank you very much for your time this morning.
Okay, so are we ready for some questions, Danielle and Larissa? Okay, so some of the questions that are in the Q&A are or one that has popped up a lot is if there are different levels of dyslexia.
Yes, so dyslexia can range from mild to severe. So there are some people who may experience some mild symptoms and others who might experience more severe symptoms. And so each person is different. They might experience those symptoms in different ways. And there are resources available in the schools that can help children depending on what their specific needs are.
Okay, thank you. So another one is, how early in a child's life can you see dyslexia? And can dyslexia be diagnosed as early as kindergarten?
Well, we know that people have characteristics of dyslexia or risk factors of dyslexia very early on, and asking about family history of struggle with reading or writing or spelling is the cheapest, quickest way to have a red flag, something that we need to pay attention to early on. For students who are acquiring speech when they're an infant and a toddler, sometimes speech delay is a risk factor, articulation difficulties, difficulties when they enter preschool, recognizing their name in print if they've been exposed to it for quite a few times. So there are risk factors that we can see at a very young age, and we in Oregon are testing for those characteristics or risk factors in kindergarten and or at first grade. And that is not too early. Because students, when they are tested, if they show deficits in the testing related to the sound component of language, among others, and their family history is there, that's something to not be ignored. Although with some definitions of dyslexia, specialists like to see that a student has not responded to instruction and then test them, but we would argue that by then that's too late. We can see the risk factors early.
Okay, thank you. And that's true, it's too late after that. So they have two questions that are kind of similar. So I'm just going to ask them together. One says, who would you go to at school to ask to test your child for dyslexia? And then the follow-up is, who is able to diagnose a child for dyslexia?
I would say, just for going to the school in our community where we have a lot of Spanish speakers, oftentimes counselors are bilingual, and where the teachers may not be. And so that can be a really excellent resource for Spanish-speaking patients, or sorry, Spanish-speaking people. The medical providers, I say patients, but to their counselor first. Their counselor is going to know how to make that happen, how to access those resources, and can work with the teachers in the school.
And as we say in some of our later videos that you'll see in fact sheets, sometimes there's not enough information in schools around dyslexia. And so you may get an answer of, well, we don't test for dyslexia, although we do screen for characteristics or risk factors of dyslexia, and schools test for reading difficulties and learning disabilities, and dyslexia falls under that umbrella. So, starting with your school counselor, we would recommend that be the best place to begin, because they won't do the testing or any referrals, they will know who to put you in touch with to seek out more information. For students who don't struggle enough, they may not have some red flags pop up in school because they're getting by, or they're learning to read and they're compensating and they're working very hard. But what we see is later that they might hit a wall, third grade or beyond, when the demands of reading is increased. Those students, if a parent suspects and has seen these risk factors early, outside testing can be helpful. And the International Dyslexia Association's website has a provider directory of people who can diagnose dyslexia. That can be like an educational psychologist, a neuropsychologist, or others. There are also people who have been trained to screen for dyslexia with very robust testing, without assigning that very diagnostic code from the DSM-5, but for educational purposes in the school system, that information can help proceed with something like a 504 plan or further help.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, great information and great questions. So we have time for a couple more questions. Another one is the family history an indicator regardless of language?
Yes. Dyslexia is found all over the world in all cultures. It might present differently depending on if the language is alphabetic and maybe has a shallow orthography or a deep orthography. But yes, family struggle of risk with acquiring reading or writing or spelling is very significant. And what I found with some of my experience working at a secondary level is we've had students who have been in ELD support classes for all of their school experience, and they've gone to preschool, they've been in our system, and a lot of their struggles with acquiring reading and spelling sometimes are only attributed to the fact that they're learning a second or a third language, but the struggles in the family history and early struggles in certain areas actually point toward dyslexia.
Okay, thank you. And then just one.
Larissa, sorry. Feel free to jump in, Larissa. Okay.
Larissa, did you want to add something to that?
Oh, nope, I think
Okay. So then we have time for one more question. I know there's so many great questions in the chat, so I'm sorry if I'm skipping yours. I'm just trying to get to the, there's a lot, so sorry. So the one we have here, is there a racial disparity in the occurrence or diagnosis of dyslexia?
Yeah, I can touch on that one just a bit. So the community health center that I work in primarily sees the Latino population in our area. And I think just even the word dyslexia is the first time I say it is the first time that a person might hear it. We just don't talk about it enough in our community. And I think if we don't even have the word to recognize what's going on, it's very hard to know what resources we have to help a child who's struggling to read and spell and write. And so I think this summit that we have right now is so important because we're talking about it and people are learning about it, and we can talk about it more in our community. We know that in Oregon that those in the Latino population have a higher rate of high school dropout. And so, you know, part of that is because we're not recognizing kids that may have dyslexia and not helping them in school. And I see that in my practice all the time. And so there is a disparity, there's an inequity, and I think it's so important that we work to close those gaps.